think about terror raids. Hold up. Wait a minute. Life-changing. Wait a second. Oh my god. Oh, flawless terror raids? I just need a moment to like imagine what that's like.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 664th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I'm your host, Steve. With me is Bobby.
Hello, I'm here. I'm a little tired today. I stayed up. I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom again. I think the Switch 2 Direct got me back into wanting to play Zelda again. So I never finished it because I didn't want it to end like a year and a half ago.
I see.
So I'm now back into it, getting through everything. So stayed up too late playing last night, but it's okay.
And you should just wait till the Switch 2. You can play it better.
I know.
We have a special co-host with us this week. We have Steph of Anime joining us.
Hello! Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk about all the things.
I felt that the show has been too negative recently, so Steph is the most positive person I know.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's not necessarily always positive, but I will admit I'm an optimist at heart, and so I'm always kind of trying to find a way to look at the bright side. That's how I cope with life. Life is hard, so I just try to find the tiny bits of sunshine, the nice graphics that we'll get to talk about a little bit later. That's like finding the bits of sunshine in life, the bits of HD quality in our life, you know? Yeah.
I met Steph through Twitch streaming.
Mm-hmm. It's been a long time now. Oh gosh, I feel like it's been at least 5 years. It might even be longer than that. Yeah,
I think a little bit longer. COVID really threw a wrench in time and space.
Time is an illusion. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's been so cool. I mean, and this is probably for another time, but it's cool to see just the way that just the space has evolved over the last almost decade now, right? I just feel like the Pokemon community has evolved so much. The games have evolved so much. I mean, time's crazy. Times are crazy.
Okay, so for our show today, we have some TCG Pocket stuff. We have we're going to talk about the Pokemon Sleep because it's the Cresselia event.
Yep.
Then we'll take a break. We'll come back. 2 Pokemon games are coming to the Switch 2. Also, the Switch 2 has been announced. And then Steph plays a lot of Pokemon Unite, and there are new held items in Pokemon Unite, so we'll get caught up on that. Then the last segment will be some Z-A talk, because that was also shown during the Switch Direct. And then if you give us $5 and you stick around for our last segment, that'll be all uncapped, unhinged Pokemon, or not Pokemon, Nintendo Direct. There was no Pokemon Direct. So we have a pretty loaded show, and I think Steph can out-talk me. I talk a lot, but
I'm gonna try to share the microphone with everyone, but I feel like we could turn this into a 5-hour podcast, so I will control myself. But I'm very excited to be here and talk about all the things.
I think some of our listeners would love a 5-hour podcast.
Let us know if you're listening on whatever platform you're listening. Let us know if you want that to be a thing, and maybe your dreams will come true.
Let's start off the news with Pokemon TCG Pocket. And last week we talked about ranked, and we talked about how we talked about I need a correction for last week. I was talking with Bobby about this. I talked about how throughout the last couple months we saw a bunch of people complain that they didn't like what DNA was doing, and the complaint always came with like, I'm canceling my subscription. And now we have the revenue of TCG Pocket. And I don't think any of you guys are canceling your subscriptions.
No.
Nope.
I think you were all just bluffing, because not only did TCG Pocket make $81 million in March, they made 91, maybe some of you canceled your subscription. They made $91 million last month. But besides all of that, they are the top grossing gacha game mobile app out of everything. Out of Genshin Impact, out of Weathering Waves, out of ZZZ, out of Infinity Nikki. They have passed all of them. And so, yeah, I think you guys are lying. I don't think any of you canceled your subscription.
No, and it's interesting, right? Because when you think about it, I feel that trading card games, just in general, right, for whether it's Pokemon or trading baseball cards, were kind of the original gacha formula before we had mobile games and a lot of this idea, right? So I don't know about you both, but I have been very happily playing a lot of TCG Pocket. It has definitely become a part of my routine, and it's been really nice for getting into the TCG for the first time, because it was always something that I collected the cards but didn't really play. It's the one vertical that I felt I'd never really dived into competitively. I've played all of the rest of the games competitively in some way, and TCG was always really intimidating for me, and just having the UI be so simplistic and easy to kind of navigate has helped me a lot. So yeah, I see why it's the top grossing game right now in the mobile gacha genre.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Steph, do you are you a big battler in Pocket, or are you more of a collector, a mix of both?
I just hit great class 4, so I'm slowly making my way up the ladder. I've been enjoying it. I will say it's hard. I think it's tough, and I'm curious because I don't know how much of it is just the nature of the TCG having just more RNG, and sometimes your deck can brick, right? That's what people say, that when you don't have a good start to your deck. And there are some games where, wow, I felt like I didn't have a chance, and that really affects kind of the ranking experience a little bit. But at the same time, it's really fun, and I do feel like I'm working for it. And I personally think that the 100 hourglasses that you're gonna get if you reach Masters is, oh, okay, this is motivation for me to play and see if I can get there. So yeah,
you're okay. We had this talk last week where I thought, I no longer think this. My optimism.
Oh
my,
no,
my optimism has left. So in Unite, when you climb ladder, you get everything. And in VGC, when you climb, you get everything. And so because every Pokemon game, you get everything, I was assuming that in TCG Pocket, you get everything on your way up. But
what do you mean by everything?
So,
what does that
cumulative.
mean?
Cumulative. So by the time you hit master rank, you would get 400 packs or something. It wouldn't just be the number that you end at.
Right.
Because in Unite, it's cumulative. You just don't get whatever master rank is. You get everything on your way there.
I guess that example is hard for me to understand, because in Unite, I mean, you just get the rank. I don't think you get any rewards for hitting master outside of the outfit. You do. They're the coins. I guess that's not something I think about when I'm ranking. I want the status. I want to hit masters. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, because if you end in ultra rank, you get the 75 hourglasses or whatnot, right? And then you don't get 100 plus 75 plus 50 plus 25.
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
But see, you said that you were like, oh, you get 100, but I don't think that's good enough. That's because that's not even a 10 pull.
Okay.
It's almost a 10 pull.
It's almost a 10 pull, right? But
it's not even a 10 pull.
There's a couple things that I didn't take into consideration last week when we were talking about this, because first, I wasn't thinking about the fact that these were set monthly. So if we're resetting monthly here, the amount of packs you would get from getting all the way up there is quite a lot for a monthly thing. But also, I didn't realize you weren't getting, because I haven't been ranking up in ranked. I didn't realize you weren't getting the hourglasses as you went. I thought you were getting them as you would rank up, you're getting them as you hit next rank. It gives you the hourglasses rather than it giving it to you all at the end. And because of that, I'm now wondering if you would only get where you end up, and you would only end up with 100 hourglasses if you hit master.
Well, I was like, oh, we're cooked. I was reading the subreddit, and I saw people actually be excited that you were getting 100. And then Steph came on, and Steph was like, I'm excited. But I don't think that's good. I don't think it's a good reward.
Well, so here, actually, I'm curious. So I don't know if you've played Genshin, right? So this is another gacha game for those. I'm sure most people have heard of Genshin. But
and number 3 on our list of...
Right. Number 3 in terms of top grossing gacha game. And that traumatized me in that I think the grind in some of these other gacha games, if you're not whaling, is horrendous, because not only do you have to run around an open world to get the gems to pull, but they give you 5 at a time, right? So a lot of the games that I have played, especially just within the last decade, it's been abysmal. So to me, games like Pokemon Masters and TCG Pocket have a much better pulling rate than what I have experienced. And maybe that has changed because I have since fallen off some games like Genshin, and I never got too far in other competitors like Honkai Star Rail. But the first ones I played were so intense, and I try to be free to play, that my metric is, do I feel like I can have a nice experience being free to play? And I feel like the bar of where it's at makes me still want to play every day, as opposed to I stopped the other ones because it felt like unsustainable with my lifestyle.
Right.
Okay, so I think that's a great perspective. My perspective that I said last week was when you get to, like, let's say you get to top 5,000 in the world, really impressive, right? Yeah. And then they're only going to give you 9 booster packs. Where if you were to go to a regionals and you win that regionals, you would get not even win, if you were like top 8, you would get 72 booster packs for free. That's like part of your rewards. Right. So like if you're in a 400 person tournament, they're physically giving you 72 booster packs, where if you're 5,000 in the world of millions of people, you're only going to get 9.
To go to a regional, though, you have to, it's not like you just randomly are in there with 400 people, right? You have to have gained an invite to the regional, or can you just go to
regionals you can just play.
Regionals you can just go to. Okay.
Worlds is the only like invite. I don't know what a world's I don't know how many booster packs you're getting for Worlds, but
yeah, that's different. It's different, but
this was when my example was from like a decade ago, when regionals were still free at the time, and you would still get I came when I top 8'd a regionals, and whatever top 8 was, that was like 12 booster packs, and there was like 400 people playing. So I just think I almost think it's insulting to give 9, like at least like the top 5,000 or whatever should be getting way more.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, because when I think about it in the terms of the game alone, I think of, 100 compared to the 5 or 7 that you get otherwise when you're playing. It feels like a lot, but I'm not considering the top 1% of players, and should there be extra rewards for that. And I think that could be something really cool that they would implement if you do hit top 5,000, and then it gives you something extra, or something akin to in Pokemon Unite, you get a sticker if you reach 1,600 or a higher, if you hit a higher rank, you get like
Unite
an exclusive
does the stickers.
Yeah, which, stickers aren't as exciting as packs to pull, but, something along those lines to reward the top players. Or the other thing is, I don't even see ladder as an official tournament, in the way that if I were to think about VGC, it's like you have climbing to master rank, and then you have the GCs, right? The global challenges, which those can give you CP. And if Pocket had something like that, then 100% the reward should be something awesome and amazing. But that's a good perspective, is, what do you, like, how do you incentivize the top players to continue to want to play the game? So yeah,
I think there's a couple calculators out there of like, if your win rate ratio, how long it would take. And like if I think and I don't have the numbers in front of me, I'm sorry. I think if you were to just go 50-50, it would take you about 400 matches to get to master rank. Which
a lot.
Again, it goes back to
400 matches times what, 10 minutes? How much of my life is that?
a lot of your life. So like this is my problem with Pokemon Go is in Pokemon Go you get 50 coins a day for free, assuming you can put a Pokemon in a gym and it lasts that long. And then my thought process is, well, if I'm going to sit out there and spend 5 to 6 minutes in my car, or, on the side of the street for 50 cents, like I would rather, like you want this many hours for, I'll just give you $10 to get like my life back.
Yeah. And it's so funny because with Pokemon Go, I'm right there with you. I will never do those gyms. It's not worth it to me. It doesn't feel worth it. So yeah.
That is exactly. I have a research in my research tasks right now, in the special research, and it's been on there forever, and it's battle in a gym 5 times. and I keep forgetting that it exists because like I don't do gym battles. Like that's just I have no reason to do gym battles.
Now, if I lived on a gym, that would be a different story.
Oh, of course, of course.
But okay, so to circle back to the beginning of the conversation of people saying they were going to cancel their subscriptions, I don't. One of the things I brought up was like people complained about trading and they were going to cancel their subscriptions about trading. I don't think complaining or advocating for something is a bad thing, right?
Agreed. Yeah,
right.
of course.
Like I personally didn't find trading that big of a deal. Like, and a lot of people didn't like it. If this is not cumulative, which all signs are not pointing to, this is not cumulative. I am complaining. I think the rewards should be heightened, especially for because again, going back to that weird calculator, the time it takes from Pokeball to Great Ball is much shorter than Ultra Ball to Master. It's not like the same amount of matches. So I do think that they designed it in a way to make it seem like you are climbing really quickly. And then once you get to Ultra Ball, it like dramatically slows down. And I'm not against that. I just think that you are putting so much time in for not a lot of rewards. And then on the complaining aspect, I was mostly complaining. I was mostly trying to point out that people who say like I'm canceling my subscription, which is clearly not evident here in the sales numbers we're looking at.
Yeah.
I think that behavior is just really weird. Like I get that all the time on my Instagram where people are like, your opinion sucks, I'm unfollowing you. Like you can just unfollow. You don't have to you don't have to tell me you're unfollowing.
Yeah.
I think it's like, especially on Reddit or Twitter, like people are like seeking that validation. Like I'm canceling my Pocket subscription. Please upvote me.
Please agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please agree. And I think that behavior is weird. I think if you're going to complain like, hey, I really like this game, I think trading is bad, this is how they could fix it, that's super good. I think saying you're going to cancel your subscription just so you can get upvotes on Twitter, or not Twitter, sorry, Reddit, I think that behavior is a little weird. But also, you guys are a bunch of liars because this is now the number one. There's
going to be at least one comment of someone who did cancel, I'm sure. And they're out there. You canceled. It's okay. But
I'm sure. I'm blown away that this is the number one gacha game right now. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I guess it just feels like it was kind of headed that way, though, right? Like it's been so popular, and we've seen how much money it's been bringing in over the last 6 months now. And they just released shiny Pokemon. What gets people more hyped into like trying to collect more than introducing shiny Pokemon, right? Like Pokemon Go saw it happen when they did it. Like the Pokemon Company in general has been pushing that a little bit more than they ever did in the past. So I guess it's not super surprising, but it is. I don't see it going anywhere. I do wonder if they're going to continue this pattern of releasing sets like once a month, though, because that has been the last 3 months now we've seen a new set. So They are coming pretty quick. And I don't know if that will get people. I mean, clearly not, right? We did wonder, like, is that going to get people tired because it's like they just don't feel like they can catch up because all these sets are just coming out one after the other so quickly. And it's like, well, I can't even catch up to the last set to complete that. And this new set just came out. I guess people aren't getting tired of it, clearly.
Or there's just a lot of people out there with very deep pockets. That's not me.
Also possible.
All right, let's switch gears real quick. Thoughts on the Cresselia event happening in Pokemon Sleep. This is a brand new event. We finally saw how it worked. Ultimately, very, I guess another event kind of similar to Pokemon Go, where Pokemon Go will have like these global challenges that they want everyone to catch Pokemon to unlock rewards. Seems the same here with that's like the best way I can compare it, I guess, with the Cresselia event. Before we give just some minor thoughts on this event, Steph, did you fall off of Sleep? Are you still playing it?
I did fall off, unfortunately. I'm sad to say. I'll do a quick story time on this. So I played pretty consistently from the beginning of the game through the end of Entei Suicune. All the way till then, I was playing, I was min-maxing, I was doing all of the lunches, I was admittedly sometimes setting my Go Plus Plus a little bit earlier than I actually go to bed, but that was kind of one of my problems.
A true gamer.
Yeah, and there have been a couple of other apps where I've had to stop because I am too focused on optimizing, which is actually detrimental to my health and kind of against what this app is trying to do, right? Which is promote healthy habits. And if it was just the part where you set, your alarm, you go to sleep, you wake up and catch Pokemon, I think it would have been at a healthy level for me. But it was the meals in particular where I'm having to check for, 3-4 times a day before I then go to sleep, where I actually felt like I was spending too much time on Pokemon Sleep, and I had to make a cut. So I still love the aesthetic, and it was really fun catching shinies in my sleep, but I was not able to find good boundaries with Pokemon Sleep, so I had to stop. And maybe I'll come back, though. That's the thing. They might introduce Pokemon I really want, and then I say, okay. Actually, I think I did that for Alolan Vulpix. I saw, oh wait, Alolan Vulpix, I want you. But yeah, it's really hard for me not to min-max.
What would be the Pokemon that would bring you back now?
Latias event would bring me back immediately. I don't think, is there Gumi and Gudra?
No Gumi yet.
Not yet. Those two? Yeah. Those are the first ones that would come to mind or I'd come back. Okay. Yeah.
Those are good. Those would be good options. Yeah. Those would be good. Those would be good Pokemon in Sleep.
Bobby, what are your thoughts on the Cresselia event?
It's fine. It's
you don't like the new dark mode they did?
I do like the new dark mode that they did. I do. It's nice opening the app and it not just completely like being too, so I put my phone at max brightness and that app is so bright when it opens up, especially when it's like nighttime. And it's like, the app should be dark mode at nighttime for sure. There's no reason for it to be that bright. But no, it's a good event. I do like that. So they did the thing, right? They made it so like you put Cresselia on your team. Now your sleep power is 1.2. And so they got me to like use a Master Biscuit to just go catch a Cresselia real quick. And so I've liked having the Cresselia on my team. I like that like sleep bonus that it's giving. Overall, it's very much like the other events, the Raikou, Suicune, Entei events. It just also has that global challenge added to it, right? I mean, other than that, I feel like it's very similar. The only problem is that all the boosts are for psychic Pokemon, obviously, since it's a psychic event. And there are very few psychic Pokemon in the game, like we've talked about before. So I don't have like, I think Cresselia is the only psychic Pokemon I have like on my team right now, because I just don't have anything else powered up because there are no psychic Pokemon. But other than that, it's a fine event. I did not have the issues with getting the right type of meal at the beginning of the week, like some people may have. I think mine, I don't even think I needed to use a ticket. I think it just gave me what I wanted right away. So, it's been good. How about you, Steve?
I guess I have to bring this up now. And Steph brought up min-maxing. So my only good psychic Pokemon was Mr. Mime. And it was all tomato. So I power up my Mr. Mime. I was like, how can I prep Mr. Mime to optimize for this event?
Yes.
I was like, so I was like, salads. I need to do salads. So because there's no tomato for dessert and there's very few tomato for curry. So instead of like making meals, I just started skipping meals and I just started stockpiling ingredients so I could make the best salad as soon as the event started. And so I'm throwing away all my ingredients except for the 4 ingredients that it takes to make this salad. And I did this for like 3 days. And then Monday morning comes and I roll curry. I was like, no problem. Easy travel ticket, dessert. No problem. Easy travel ticket, curry. No problem. I go through my 5 easy travel tickets, and I do not get salads. And so then I spend gems on more easy travel tickets, and I still don't get salads. So I min-maxed for nothing, unless I wanted to continue giving the game money. But I felt so gross already giving it 400 gems for 2 more easy travel tickets. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Hey, Steve, I got salads this week, just so you know.
Yeah, I got desserts. I ended up on desserts, which
My heart is broken.
so I couldn't even use my Mr.
No.
It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
I like these events a lot. These, I still think Pokemon Sleep is good. I think Pokemon Sleep is really good for free to play players too. I think it is. I think it is like I feel like I could cancel my subscription and still have a good time with it.
No, you couldn't. I did this, and I put the subscription back on. I mean, I will say I don't feel like I have to spend any more than the subscription. Like in Pocket, I do the subscription, but I also will buy packs, you know, from time to time. In Sleep, I don't think, other than those like nice little starter bonuses that they do for like $3, and it gets you like a good camp ticket and a few different things. Other than those that come out like every 6 or 9 months, I don't think I've spent any money in Sleep other than the premium. But like I never see a reason to need to spend on like diamonds or anything like that in Sleep, which is a nice change.
Well, sometimes Pokemon Sleep has $70 bundles, and sometimes the Nintendo Switch releases $70 games, so you can pick or choose, really. Okay, let's take a break. And speaking of the Switch, they announced the Switch 2. They showed some Pokemon stuff, so we will talk about that when we come back from our break. This podcast is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Do you say data or data? I'm actually not sure which one I say now that I've started reading this. And maybe because you don't think about the way you say it, you don't think about your monthly data plan. But when you think about Mint Mobile and their monthly data plan, you can think of premium wireless plans that start at $15 a month. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans and those unexpected overcharges that those companies love to hit you with. Mint Mobile is here to save the day. All Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data, your choice, and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. You got a Samsung, you got a Google, you got I sound so old. You got an iPhone. I used my iPhone and it worked perfectly. And the important things that matter. You're listening to a Pokemon podcast. You want to know if your TCG Pocket, if your Pokemon Go, if your Pokemon Masters, you want to know if those work? They do. Why? Because I tested it on my Mint Mobile plan, on my iPhone, with my own accounts. No matter how you say it, don't overpay for it. Shop data plans at mintmobile.com/PKMNcast. That's mintmobile.com/PKMNcast. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. And we are back from our break. All right, let's talk about the Unite stuff first, because I feel like once we get to the GameCube stuff, we're never going to get away from the GameCube stuff. Steph is our resident Unite expert here. It looks like they released 2 new held items. And also, I haven't played, I think the last time I played Unite was maybe January. So if you want to catch us up to date of what's new or different.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's been a lot, I think, since Since January, holy cow. Well, so first of all, 2 new items. Pokemon Unite has remembered held items exist and have finally given us some new ones, and they are stacking items. So now there is the potential to have up to 3 different stacks going concurrently at one time per Pokemon, depending on how you run your build. But the 2 are Excel Bracer and Drive Lens. They're essentially the same item, but one is for a physical attacker and then one is for a special attacker, right? So it essentially allows. So this is a stack based off getting assists to KOs or getting a KO. So you can get up to 10 stacks. It's 1 plus 1 stack. If you assist in getting a knockout on an opposing Pokemon, you'll get a boost to your special attack or physical attack, depending on if you're going Drive. Drive Lens is the special item, and then the Excel Bracer is the physical one. So you can be stacking with your goal points, right? With attack weight, you can have the Excel Bracer so that as you're getting assist to KO, you can also stack some extra damage there. And so yeah, it's been really fun. Right now, it's very popular to have those, and everyone is running them on their physical.
Oh, okay, so they're the power creep of these items, maybe.
Yeah. So it's been good. I mean, overall, oh gosh, there's been a lot with Unite. I think the common pain point has always been matchmaking, and they're trying things consistently to try and make the matchmaking experience a little bit better. It's tough to say for me personally, because I have been playing this game since launch. I consistently play it. I consistently ladder. And sometimes it's hard to know, are games going the way they're going due to kind of the matchmaking, who you're getting teamed up with, or because Pokemon are overpowered? And that's something hard for me to figure out. So I don't know the answers to that, but I have been having fun regardless, or at least when you're playing with friends, right? I think solo queue can always be a bit of a struggle. But since January, I don't know, did you try the 500 point mode that came out? I think that was in March, the new 500 point mode.
No, the only time I played that was when we both played it on stage at
Yeah.
Worlds. Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. It's so nice to be able to read what everything does now that it's out. But yeah, it was debuted last year at Worlds that it was coming to NA, and it's been a mode that's been in the China version for a while already. But that one's really fun. There's no rank associated with it, so that's just an extra mode to have fun with your friends. I've been enjoying it. It's a whole different strategy. Yeah.
Do you think rank is going to switch to it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. It would. I think it could be cool, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're going that way. I feel like they also haven't given it that much attention since it's out. It's been released, but I don't know. It's
okay.
Yeah,
I understand.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was weird how they did it. You guys did it at Worlds, and then it was like silence. I mean, I know it was happening, like China had it, but like it was silence otherwise, I feel like. And then it was like Pokemon Day. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, this is coming out. And then it feels like it's just silence since then. So it seems cool though, based on everything you guys have explained about how it works. Like I feel like people maybe enjoy that there's a different way to play as well.
Yeah, and I'm still learning the ways. That's the thing. I almost feel one of Unite's problems is that there's so many different events and things to be doing in there, and there's so many events that it's hard to stick and focus on one thing. And for example, when I'm trying to get to Masters every season, that's always the priority of, okay, I'm going to spend my time ranking. And then if there's other fun, like I love the Panic Parade mode that comes in and out, throughout the different months, because that feels like a Final Fantasy dungeon to me. So then I'll be playing that one. And then now there's the 500 point mode. But everyone who I've spoken to, and at least in my community, have really enjoyed it. They like the game style a lot, but I don't know. I'm not getting signs that it's going to switch. They tried they did 2 weeks where they brought back Remote Stadium. People liked it for about 4 days and then got tired of it and then wanted Theo Sky Ruins back. So yeah, but in terms of new Pokemon that have come out, we did get Suicune and Tinkaton. So those two have been fun. And I think that they've been doing a better job in terms of getting updates out a little bit quicker when things are kind of overtuned or undertuned. So, I mean, I'll have to catch up and see in terms of the next tournaments, because I don't remember if Suicune was allowed in the most recent tournaments. I have to catch up on some of those. But Suicune is very fun and powerful and makes an ice lane very dangerous. So, and then we're getting a Alolan Raichu soon. So there's always a lot going on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think Alolan Raichu will be very popular.
Yeah.
Is Alolan Raichu evolving from a Pikachu?
Nope. I don't think so. I think it's just basic. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They announced, it was at Pokemon, I was on Pokemon Day that they announced, was it 3 new Pokemon coming? So
Alchemy. That was such a big surprise. That was the first time I was surprised. There was no any sort of leak, or there was nothing on the internet about Alchemy, so I was super excited for that. I think Alchemy is going to be a support type.
So it's Alolan Raichu next, and then Alchemy.
Yes.
And then we don't know.
No, we don't know. Nope.
Okay. Got it.
Nope. Yeah. It's been fun. I got to get you both back on Unite to play and see for yourselves.
So, okay, as someone who has not played Unite, I feel like from what I've heard, the only way to really play it is on Switch, right? Like the mobile version is not as good, or like is not like as good, or do you disagree?
I don't. I actually think the opposite. I think a lot of the best players are on mobile. It feels like
really?
I would compare it to Splatoon. You know how Splatoon, like the players who get really professional use the tilt controls and the motion controls. I don't know. The mobile one runs great. I like playing on the Switch. You know, I enjoy having a pro controller feel, but the Switch lags way more in comparison. The mobile one runs way smoother.
Really?
If I could attach my pro controller to an iPad, I feel like that alone would make me play more Unite.
Yeah.
But there's no controller support for mobile.
Really?
Sad.
That's a bummer. Because I really don't like playing with the virtual controls on a phone.
Yeah.
You know, for things like that. But I find myself with my phone more often than my Switch. So it's like when games like these exist on mobile or on Switch, it's like, well, I like to play it on mobile because it's like I always have my phone with me, so I can always just open it up and play a match or something. But yeah, the virtual controls.
We haven't heard anything about Switch 2 and Unite. I am hoping that, oh my gosh, with a Switch 2, can Unite run like
better
60 FPS and be beautiful? Because it's funny, if you play with someone who's on mobile in your same lobby, they will hear and see the score like 5 seconds before it loads on the Switch. So they'll know the results of the game beforehand. But I mean, people still play both, right? So in the competitive circuit as well, there are folks who are on Switch as well, but there is a decent mobile community who play just exclusively on mobile. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll download it on my phone then. It's
time.
I had heard that it was like, well, this was like back when it came out. It was like people were like, "Oh, I'm not going to play it on mobile. I'll just play it on Switch." And it's good to hear that it
runs nice. You just have to get used to it. It's a different cadence of how it feels when you're playing it. But which is why when we did it at Worlds, I was like, oh gosh, I haven't played on mobile in months. I
can't read any of this.
I think I was telling Steve before we went on there, I was like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to carry the team. I'm feeling good. They hand me a phone. I'm like, oh my God, it's over. I don't know how to play. I don't know Unite. This is my first time playing Unite. I don't know anything that I'm doing.
Well, speaking of Switch, there was the Switch 2 Direct, which showed price and games, and we'll talk about that in our bonus segment. But they announced that GameCube games were coming specifically to the Switch 2. I say that just because there was some confusion. It doesn't seem like GameCube games are coming to the original Switch at all. And then when they showed the list of games, okay, let me get this out of the way. I have always been and will continue to be the biggest haters of Gale of Darkness and Colosseum. But I understand that people are excited for these games. And I am happy for them. I am happy that no one should be paying $100 for these games. That's way too much money for a 20-year-old game. And I'm very happy that you guys who have never played those can experience and then come back and say, Steve, you are right. I don't know why people like these games. But they had...
I love this duality. It's going to be great.
But they announced Gale of Darkness and Colosseum. I have a feeling that Steph really likes these games.
Well, I'll pass it to Bobby first. Have you played Colosseum and XD before? Because I think I have a middle of the road, but leaning. I'm hyped, but I'll talk about why I'm hyped.
All right.
After. Have you played?
So I'm gonna come off looking like a real fake fan here, but no, I never had a GameCube. So
You never had a GameCube?
No, so
it has
I
a
was,
handle, Bobby.
I know. I
You can
know.
carry it around.
I was not a GameCube player. What was that time frame for GameCube? That was when like the other systems that were out.
2003, 4.
Yeah, so that'd have been like PlayStation 2 time frame.
Yeah.
So
I was 13 years old when they announced the GameCube, and then I started saving up money to buy one myself.
okay. So I had a Nintendo 64, but then after that I went Dreamcast, PS2, PS3.
You went Dreamcast?
I did.
Crazy.
I had so many games on Dreamcast. I loved the Dreamcast. There's Dreamcast lovers out there. I'm
No,
doing
I
some
think the
comments with
Dreamcast
some
is
Dreamcast
so
love.
cool, but I don't think I ever knew anyone at the time that had a Dreamcast.
Oh, I had a Dreamcast. I had so many games for that. I loved it so much. So I had that, and then a PS2, PS3, and then it was more handhelds. So I never had a GameCube. So I never
games.
actually played either of these games.
Oh, okay. So that's actually similar. We're gonna blow Steve's mind. I did not own my own GameCube, but my family had a GameCube. So
Okay.
my cousins had a GameCube that I would regularly, for every holiday, whenever I went over there, I'd get to play the GameCube, but I didn't own it myself. So when it comes to Colosseum and XD, there was so much I loved about what I got to play, but I never got to play the whole game. It was always in these bursts and chunks. So my knowledge gaps are immense. And so when I saw them come to Switch, I'm like, oh, I can own them finally for myself and have them for the first time. So I am very excited. I popped off because I never had it. I feel like this is my chance to live, in the modern day and at least experience it and see if it lives up. I mean, I'm sure times are different in the same way that, Mario 64 was one of my favorite games growing up and I had a Nintendo 64 console, but going back and playing now, it's not as revolutionary as when it first came out.
Okay, let's not get carried away. Mario 64 holds up.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were gonna be like, I thought you were gonna be like, no. But I think that when people play Mario 64, even though it holds up, you don't get the, oh my God, this is 3D in the way that when it first came out, I was like, so I am very heckin' excited. And there's, I think, a lot to talk about, right? Like in terms of Pokemon will potentially, I don't know if we'll be able to kind of bring them to other games, but there was Jirachi was like the big one, right? From Colo and XD.
Yeah, depending on, I think if you were in Australia, Jirachi was for Colosseum, and then if you were American, the Jirachi disc was for Gale of Darkness. I think that's how it worked.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think that's let's start there with will this work with Pokemon Home? And my gut just says no.
Oh,
Kind of agree with that.
This is not a Game Freak game. This is a Genius Sonority, and they're still working on Cafe Remix. I said this maybe like 2 months ago. I really think the Gale of Darkness Colosseum ship has sailed. And what I meant by that is James Turner famously worked on both of these games. He made the trainer models, he made Shadow Lugia, he made a lot of the environments, and he was the art director of Sword and Shield. And then he left Game Freak mid-development of Scarlet and Violet, so he was the one that designed Professor Turo and Professor Sata, and he went on to make his own studio. And I really think if they were to ever remake Gale of Darkness or Colosseum, it would almost be such a disservice not to include him. Because one, he worked on the games, and then he worked on a main series Pokemon game, and then they left on good terms, obviously, but I do feel like that ship has kind of sailed. So obviously these are not remakes, these are just the older games, but I really think this is just like, if they didn't do it for Pokemon Stadium, I don't know why they would do it for these games.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think back to my history. Was there ever a way you could bring up your stadium on the original N64? Could you bring Pokemon? I don't think you ever could. So yeah.
No, you couldn't. But I feel like people realize that stadium's a little lackluster if you can't use your own Pokemon. Rental Pokemon only gets you so far.
Yeah, well, then we had Battle Revolution. That kind of, well, it wasn't the same, but we had Battle Revolution to do that. Yeah, I love Pokemon Stadium though. It forced me to use Pokemon I wouldn't otherwise.
Okay, here's the thing about like when they showed this part during the Nintendo Direct. I don't have the expansion pass, which I think is very cleverly named. I think that's probably the best part about it is how they named it. But I've been a Switch member, whatever that's online, Nintendo Switch online member for whatever since day one, right? I think it rolled out day one or a month afterwards. I have never in 8 years played a Game Boy game, a Nintendo game, a Super Nintendo. I've never played any of them. I'm just not let me go backwards and play games.
Yeah.
So when they showed all these GameCube games, they showed F-Zero. Loved F-Zero. I owned F-Zero. I played F-Zero. Colosseum, Gale of Darkness, played all those. Myra Strikers, played the heck out of that. Wind Waker, I played it like 5 times.
Yeah.
None of that is compelling enough for me to upgrade because I've been there, done that. And there's so many new games I just haven't played that I would rather play. So it's not even like I am still a big hater of Gale of Darkness and Colosseum, but I think in general, I personally just don't find myself ever going back to old games, even if I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this game as a kid, but I don't need to play it again. That's just me personally. And there are some people probably listening to the podcast that are like, they love retro games. They love going back to their childhood. I can think of like 10 games that I would love to start playing that came out in the last year of like, I just haven't had time to play. Like I really want to play the Metaphor game. And,
Metaphor is so good.
Yeah. And so it's like, I want to play that. I don't want to play Gale of Darkness.
Right.
Here's my one complaint with there's a lot of complaints about Gale of Darkness that I have. Okay. Here's one that will why I don't like those games as much. And it's really not even Gale of Darkness' fault. It's the fault of Game Freak and Gen 3 Pokemon. So right now in Gen 3 there's no physical special split. So that already makes it hard. But like let's just take a Pokemon like Houndoom. Number one is you don't have a lot of Pokemon you can actually catch in those games, right? Like when you're going through, you can only catch Shadow Pokemon. If you choose not to catch that Shadow Pokemon, you've lost your opportunity. The next time you can catch it is after you beat the game. So if you don't choose to catch that Houndour right there on the spot, you're not going to see that till post-game. And so because you're limited on selections, you're like, well, I need a dark Pokemon. I need a fire Pokemon. I'm going to catch that Houndour. You are now going to play, this is not an exaggeration, I promise you. You are going to play that entire game with Houndour with its best moves being Ember and Bite. You don't learn Flamethrower until post-game because Houndoom doesn't learn Flamethrower until 49. So your only fire-type move throughout that entire story up to Shadow Lugia is Ember. It's...
But Steve, what about the relics of early competitive Pokemon with Follow Me Magmar and Follow Me Electabuzz, which at the time was the only way you could get Follow Me on those Pokemon? What we need to attribute to the history of early competitive double battling, Steve.
All right, you sold me. I'm back on board.
I am curious to understand like how, if Nintendo sees new people playing these older games or only sees people who actually played them in the past playing them, like because your argument is for like why these games aren't good, but I feel like a lot of people that want to play them have played them before. And so rather than deterring like new people from going and playing these games, I feel like you have like the people who have the nostalgia glasses on and just want to go play those older games, right? Because like when I saw that these were coming to Switch 2, I wasn't like, yes, I can't wait to play these two Pokemon games but I've never played them before. So it wasn't like I had anything to remember, right? Whereas like you were saying earlier, you didn't buy the expansion pass or anything. You don't play those older games. One of the only, there are two older games that I've played on the Switch Online, and I bought the expansion pass because they were Sega games. And so it was Sonic the Hedgehog and Echo the Dolphin. And
Nice.
those are because I loved them as a kid, right? But like I wasn't going through and finding any of the games on the Switch Online that I'd never played before to play. And so as you sit here and say like, these are why this game is not great, I wonder how many people playing are like just going to go back to play that. And we'll probably be like, oh yeah, Steve was right. Like these are the things that were bad about it, but I still love it because I remember this from when I was a kid versus like, did you just get anybody to be like, oh, never mind, I'm not going to play these games now?
No,
even though
I
I've
would.
never played them.
If you've never played it, I'm encouraging you to play it. I think you should. I think that there are cool things about Gale of Darkness and Colosseum. Here, I won't be a hater for a second. The music in both of those games,
Yes.
absolute bangers. Some of the best music of all time. And if these games being added to Nintendo Switch Online means that that music gets added to Nintendo Online Music or whatever that's called, I might actually use the Nintendo Music app. Because I already have all the Pokemon music outside the app from the CDs and everything I've purchased. I just think like I think those games are cool in the instance of they're very similar to old Final Fantasy games. Like if you took a Final Fantasy and a Pokemon and you mixed it together, it's ultimately what Gale of Darkness and Colosseum are. I just think like the Pokemon selection being so limited, the Gen 3 moveset being so bad. I think the games are a slog. Like when you're in the facility for the first time, which is pretty early on in the game when you start getting to battles, it's just like, again, not exaggerating, every 3 steps you take in this building, a trainer will drop down from the sky and they will double battle you. And they all have like the same Pokemon. And so it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't even explore because every 3 steps I'm getting a double battle. So like, I think nostalgia is a prison. I think there are a lot of people that are like, I love these games because they grew up with these games. But I don't think they're particularly good. And it would suck if you got a shiny going through your playthrough of those games, and then that shiny is completely stuck in that game forever. Like that would be unfortunate.
Yeah,
I am
guess
privileged though.
You could
that
get shinies before, right?
What?
You could transfer shinies before, right? Because
yeah. So like I'm privileged as owning these games. And so if I need to play them, I can just go back and play them on my GameCube. I have the Gale of Darkness GameCube as well.
Ooh.
Wow,
fancy.
So cool.
But like I could go play them, and then if I got a shiny or if I just caught a Lugia, Shadow Lugia, I could then move it all the way up to Pokemon Home. Whereas I get people being like, well, this is the only way to play it, which that's good. There should always be a way to play games. So, but it would suck to be like, well, I can't move anything out of it. But also, I don't think you should go to like a GameStop. GameStop doesn't even, I don't even think GameStop sells these. But you shouldn't go to like a third party reseller and spend like $150 on Gale of Darkness. Like that's so much. You should be spending $80 on Mario Kart.
True. Oh, I'm so excited for that. You touched on a really good point that I think is also part of the conversation, which is just archiving retro games, which I think as more and more digital games become the norm, like that's been like a concern of, we saw it with the 3DS, online eShop getting shut down and support getting shut down, where how are you going to get to enjoy these games and play these games and like keep them as a part of history for like video game development and the history of video games and things like that. So I'm happy that at least there is some solution for some ways to maintain the games. I don't know if it's perfect or not, but I would like them to think about, keeping the history of games so that you can play them and stuff.
Yeah. But now, Bobby, you're stuck on the $50 a year, right? They convinced you.
Yeah. Well,
And so now you're just $50 a year every year forever.
$50 a year divided by month is not that much.
That's true.
Yeah.
But how does that work with like I think with Stadium, that's all rental Pokemon, right? But if you were to play Gale of Darkness, well, I see this is why I don't think there will be home compatibility.
Right. No, I don't think any game that you are on a subscription to play will have compatibility with bringing it into home, even though home itself is a subscription. But I think
it could be possible. I mean, what if you think of it like Pokemon Go lets you transfer to home, and that's its own app. So if they develop it like it's its own app, I don't know. Maybe there is a way.
I think they can. I think on a technical level they can.
But will they?
Yeah,
I'm manifesting they will. I'm copium.
Yeah, but the other thing would be this is why, well, like every year you see the rumors of, Ruby, Sapphire, Gold, Silver all coming to the Switch Online.
Yeah.
You just say it every year, and maybe eventually you'll be right. But I think part of the reason why those games haven't come is, one, the rewind feature.
Yep.
And we don't know yet if Colosseum or Gale of Darkness will have rewind, but I feel like Game Freak probably wouldn't like that if you could just like rewind. I don't know off the top of my head how there are very few encounters in those games. Like there's the cheese encounters. I don't know when those determine like stats or shiny or whatever, but if you could just rewind that over and over, Game Freak would probably be not like that. I'm saying Game Freak because who else is in charge of these games at this point?
Yeah.
I guess I say Game Freak because eventually if they worked with home and they moved up to Scarlet and Violet, that would be Game Freak's problem at that point.
But that's exactly why I don't think that was actually more of why I don't think they would do home transfer, because of the rewind feature. Because if the game is just on its own, then I don't think that that's a problem. Like you're not moving it anywhere. You're not being able to, it's just the game on its own. But if you're able to then transfer that over to home and use it like in other games, I feel like they wouldn't want that coming over. And that's why I feel like home transfers wouldn't be a thing for those games.
I would play it if they did have home transfers. I would suffer through them again if they did. Here's the this is my honest thing about Pokemon. Like I will always love Pokemon. Like even if the games didn't exist, I would love like just the creatures and like the merch and I love everything about it. But I really think the reason the games resonate with me so much over other games is because of the moving those Pokemon up. And if that went away, I would still like Pokemon, but I don't think I would put as much time or energy into the series. Like, it's not like, I wouldn't suddenly hate it. It would just be like, cool, I played this story, I did some shiny hunting, I did some battles, I'm done. But the fact that I could go back to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and I could shiny hunt a Latias and then move that all the way up to Sword and Scarlet and Violet, like, gives me the energy to go backwards. And there's very few, if any, other game series that does that, right? That you can just like go backwards, play a game, and be like, cool, I got these creatures, and now I'm moving them up to my current game.
That is so interesting to me because I feel the opposite in that, and I agree with you that I think that this is something that does make Pokemon really special, and you can like bring them with you on your journey as you grow up. You literally bring your childhood Pokemon with you. At the same time, I actually don't transfer my Pokemon up to home.
Oh, you're one of those people. This is a controversial show.
Mind blowing.
Because for me, I like the memories and the journey. I like that they're in that chapter. Like if these are like chapters of my life, I get, and actually, this is why when I wanted to play through Pokemon X again recently, I actually asked a friend, "Hey, can I borrow your Pokemon X so that I can do, a new playthrough? Because I don't want to overwrite my original, the first save, my first adventure. Like that is a relic to me. And my Pokemon Go storage, forget it, because I have all these shinies that I should probably transfer some of them, but I'm like, oh, I want them to be in my Go collection. So if I show someone on my app, it's all in my Go. And granted, if home was backwards compatible, that's the word. If it was backwards compatible, I think I'd be all in and be like, oh, I'll transfer them and then transfer them back to where I want to keep them.
I see.
But because it's like a permanent, it's going forward and you can't bring it back. Yeah, it's scary. I'm like, I want to keep it where it is. So, but I love that, right? And I think that that's so cool that, different members of the community can have that different experience and journey. So I don't know, that's cool to hear that that's such a big part for you.
Yeah, no, I when I go back to my like sun and moon, I'm like, oh, nothing's here. It's like a wasteland.
I got everything. I used to, this is way back in like Emerald. I used to put my Pokemon like in the boxes like they were on a soccer team. Like I would put them like, and then there's like a Voltorb in the middle or whoever I had at the time. And I'm like, they're playing soccer and I do all these designs.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a mix of between the two of you because I will move my Pokemon forward, but it's not necessary for me. Like, I don't think, if I'm thinking about my Scarlet and Violet team right now that I've been running around with doing stuff, I don't think any of them are from older games. Like, they're all just from Scarlet and Violet. But at the same time, if I go back to my Ultra Sun copy, it is a wasteland, like Steve's, but I also won't overwrite it. Like, I went and bought another copy of Ultra Sun because I wanted to play it again, but I did not want to overwrite my first copy of Ultra Sun. So it's like, it's a mixture, right? It's like, well, I love those memories. I love that it's there. There's nothing in my copy of Ultra Sun except for a couple of Pokemon so I can shiny hunt. But at the same time, it's like not fully, like if Pokemon Home went away, it wouldn't stop me from still going back and playing Ultra Sun, even though I know I wouldn't be able to move those Pokemon forward because
it would for me.
Yeah, it's like specifically Ultra Sun, I love that game so much I'd go back and play it again. I don't need to move everything forward. But I do appreciate that I can. And, if I catch a shiny or something, I'll be happy that I could play with it, play it in Gen 9 or, eventually Gen 10 potentially or whatever. But yeah, it's just like right in the middle there, I think.
I am crying not being able to get all the shiny Pokemon for completing your home Pokedex. That I'm like, oh well, this is not going to be me. But it's very cool, and it makes me almost want to do it, but I'm not going to.
Again, I don't think that Gale of Darkness and Colosseum are launch day games. I'm pretty sure the ones that were launch days were the F-Zero, the Soul Calibur, and the Wind Waker. I don't think there's dates for those. Also, there were, this will be the last point before we take a break, there were some GameCube games that had widescreen mode, like F-Zero had built-in widescreen. I knew this as somebody who had a widescreen TV and had F-Zero. You like held some buttons down or whatever, and then it went into widescreen mode. And they also had like progressive scan or something. I was very into my GameCube as a kid because it was like the thing I bought with my money. Gale of Darkness Coliseum did not have widescreen mode. There you go. Bad games. Told you.
Cry.
But yeah, if you've never played it, I'm excited for you to realize that the people who are nostalgic about it are purely just nostalgic about it. They're
but it's
okay.
not so bad. I don't think that's so. It's interesting that I know, and we'll take a break soon. But you said you called nostalgia a prison, and I'm like, do I agree? I don't know if I agree with that, but I think that it could be, it can be in some situations. But if you are being intentional about your nostalgia, I don't think it's a prison. If you're going into it with that mindset of I want to experience this part of the past, I think it could be a nice thing.
I think if I was to expand on that thought, like, do you want to go back and put 40 hours into, in my opinion, a mediocre Pokemon game that you've probably already played? Or do you want to put 40 hours into like a modern, brand new game like Metaphor, which almost won Game of the Year.
But it's different. It's
But like
a different feeling.
But the prison is time, right? Like you only have so much
That
time.
is a prison. True.
You
That's
only-
the real prison.
You only have so much time in a week. So do you want to go backwards and play something you've already played, or do you want to play something new and modern, and in the case of using metaphor, something that won a ton of awards?
I don't know. I feel like, Steve, when you talk about nostalgia being a prison and you talk about like not wanting to play older games, it feels like you make it seem like the people who do are the same people who are like, I loved high school so much. High school were the best days of my life. And they're like 40 years old and they're still remembering. They have their like Letterman jacket in their closet.
I think those circles do mostly overlap, Bobby. Like still wearing their Letterman jacket, playing Gale of Darkness. Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never just been a like old video game person. I think it was GameStop that ruined it for me.
Yeah,
when I worked there.
Oh.
All right. We have more Switch 2 stuff to talk about, specifically Z-A and Scarlet and Violet, which that was shocking. So we will take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about that. And also Steph's thoughts on Z-A in general. So we will be right back. This podcast is brought to you by Hims. What can happen in 3 to 6 months? You could pick up a new hobby and get maybe not very good at it yet. You could maybe tackle half of your New Year's resolutions, or you could spend 3 to 6 months trying to organize your shiny Pokemon in home, which you probably haven't done yet. You should start doing that. Or you can start seeing thicker, fuller hair regrow through Hims. Not bad for 3 to 6 months. Hims will provide you with convenient access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. Choose from personalized chewable, oral, spray, or serum treatments to find out what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online, so there's no uncomfortable doctor visits. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. And at the end of the day, it's easy, and we all like easy. You can start your free online visit today at hims.com/PKMNcast. That is HIMS.com/PKMNcast for your personalized hair loss treatment options. HIMS.com/PKMNcast.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Keeping that in.
Well, we're back.
And we're back from our break. Let's talk about Switch 2. Okay, for the Switch 2, they showed a whole bunch of new games, but then they also showed that some games would be getting a Switch 2 version, including Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, the Kirby game, the Mario Party game, and then for just literally 5 seconds, they flashed Legends Z-A. It was like the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Super exciting, I think. In my perspective, I still have a bunch of questions of how this actually is going to work. And I don't think my eyesight is the best. I think it's really hard for me to tell between 30 and 60 specifically, unless they were sitting side by side. I could be like, oh, I see. Mm-hmm. But definitely in Scarlet and Violet, when it's running at 14 frames, or like that is very obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or when I was playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure on the Switch, and I'm like, man, this feels great. Like everything about it feels great. And then I watched somebody play on PC, and I was like, oh, I understand now. I got the worst version of this. But I think for me, just like this announcement alone made me even more hype for ZA because the only thing I want price is I don't even care about price. I know I should care about price, but like all I want is a better Switch, a more powerful Switch, a Switch that can be faster, a Switch that can make my games run slightly better. Just like from a 3DS to a new 3DS, even though that was a pretty minor jump, and this does not seem very minor. And so that's all I want. So if that makes my old games that I'm still playing through that I haven't finished run better, I'm sold. And the fact that Game Freak is doing something, although we don't know what that is, I'm still excited, I guess.
I am right there with you 100%, especially in the last year. I did get myself a PS5, and I feel like as a longtime Nintendo lover and fan, where I've always had PC to play PC games, but Nintendo has been my main console, and then getting a PS5, it's always made me say, oh, I just wish we could get 60 FPS, at least at bare minimum. And we got a little bit more than the bare minimum in terms of getting the HDR and like the modes for specifically your 4K TV and getting 4K graphics as well. I think that's huge and awesome because at least in my household, we actually do play Switch on the TV a whole bunch. You know, sometimes I'm playing Unite on the TV, whatever other games. So it's nice that we're also going to get a dedicated 4K mode, let alone just a general like 1080p 60. So for me, I agree, like big highlight. And, you know, for as much as I'm an optimist, I mean, with Scarlet and Violet, launch was a disaster in terms of like the QA and a lot of the bugs. Like, I'll tell it how it is. Like, it's so unfortunate that I do feel that affects my overall score of Scarlet and Violet, because if it ran perfectly and as intended, it would have been my favorite game in the last recent years, because I loved Scarlet and Violet. But that launch was so buggy. I got the music bug where the Elite Four music was like not working.
Oh, you got the Elite Four music bug?
Wow.
And at first I thought, oh, this is like a new direction for their music. It's really eerie because like I just thought they were prolonging until the champion. I was like, this is so freaky. And it gave a weird tone. And then I'm told, I don't think it's supposed to be like that, Steph. And then I don't think I restarted it because I was like, I got the champion. But then I replayed through the Elite Four after, and I was like, wow, that's a whole different experience. So if I
forgot
can have
all about the music bug.
Yeah, I will never forget because it was jarring. It was jarring as heck. But and that being said, 60 FPS, and like for me, I think I definitely noticed the difference in like the sparkles and all the stuff. I was like, oh, it's looking nice. So I even like the grass, I think in Legends ZA, I'm like, oh, I think that's good. Like the way it moves a little bit more, I'm like, that's gonna be nice. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think there are still like minor problems I have with how all the windows look exactly the same and the buildings look kind of flat. And I think for me, like, graphics are not number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the problem with Scarlet and Violet is it looked bad and it played bad.
Yeah.
And I think most people can like pick one or the other, like especially on PS5. You can go like, I want the performance mode, which makes the graphics a little worse but makes the game run smoother, or I want the prettiest game ever but there will be hiccups. Mm-hmm. And Scarlet and Violet, you didn't get to pick. You just got both bad things. So if I'm already committed to Legends Arceus, it looks the way it looks, that's fine. That's kind of what I expect from Game Freak. Do I expect better? Yes, everyone should expect better. Game Freak clearly sells millions of copies of these games. But if you're telling me, this is really big copium, but if you're telling me the game is actually going to run smooth, I'm back in.
Yeah.
I'm back in. I just wanted to run
smooth.
Do you think, were you afraid of Legends ZA running as poorly as Scarlet and Violet do, though?
I was worried about that, yeah.
Really? You think that Game Freak, that they wouldn't have fixed anything? Like that they wouldn't have done what they could to fix that issue? That was it was a big enough issue that Nintendo put out press release to apologize.
Well, here,
You know?
let me rope in the second part of the news, which is a free update for Nintendo Switch games. Free updates to improve playability on the Switch 2 will be released by connecting your Nintendo Switch to the internet. You can download a free update that may improve performance or add support features. As games share, the following will be free: ARMS, Captain Toad, Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World, Clubhouse Games. How is that game? Those are just, how is that game running bad? Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, Legend of Zelda: Echo of Wisdom, Game Builder Garage, New Super Mario Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet, and Big Brain Academy. So going back to like, do you think Game Freak could make a better game after learning from Scarlet and Violet? Yes, I do think that, because they did that from Diamond and Pearl to Platinum. Platinum was a significantly better game than Diamond and Pearl. It fixed so many issues, plus added more stuff. How they improved Scarlet and Violet was by removing things. They removed people from towns, and they reduced the amount of Pokemon in order for it to run better. And it didn't really... It did run better on its... Technically... It did run better. Not that much better. So I guess my worry is like the Switch version will be still that. The towns will feel emptier because they need to remove people. Or
in ZA?
In ZA, yeah.
There's only a town. As far as we can tell.
Yeah,
it's
right,
just a
right.
giant city.
There's just one city. But I would assume that like there would still be frame rate hiccups, because even Arceus has frame rate hiccups.
Don't talk about Arceus that way. Arceus is a perfect game, Steve.
But I do think that matters. I do think making the towns emptier to get a little bit more performance, but your performance, at the end of the day, the performance is still bad in Scarlet and Violet, even after they remove people. So like taking away people and still not getting great performance still adds for a mediocre experience. And I was worried that that's what ZA's direction was going to be, of like, well, we're still trying to squeeze some power out here. And we've seen, not that I'm condoning this, Mr. Pokemon, if you're listening, we have seen Scarlet and Violet run on a PC. And it runs great. It runs at the 30, 60 frames. They didn't do any, there was no updates, right? There was no anything. They just uncapped it and it worked fine. So I thought, before any of these announcements, that's what ZA and Scarlet and Violet were going to be. I didn't think they were going to say like we're doing specific updates for it. I thought they were just going to do the new 3DS thing, which is Sun and Moon runs better on a new 3DS than it does on a 3DS. And there you go. Like, leave us alone. There's a little bit more power here and it runs a little bit better. But I ain't complaining that they made an official announcement about it. The question I have for Scarlet and Violet is, do they add the people and the Pokemon back for Switch 2? Is it that much more powerful that, one, they fix the frame rate, and two, they restore the missing people in the towns, they restore some of the Pokemon spawns? You're
asking too much. Just give us frame rate.
Well, it's interesting because I think the thing that, you know, I think about is when they showed us the Mario Party, right? And that you're getting new mini games like with the new features of the Switch 2, which makes me think it could be possible that they add in, at least for the Switch 2 version, things that might not exist on the original Switch version, but as part of the overall enhancement. That was kind of my interpretation, is that, oh, because they're showing us things that don't exist on the Switch version because they technically can't, that they're going to get some more liberties. So that's my hope, is that the Switch 2 one will be able to take more liberties because they're calling it an enhanced version of some kind.
Oh, are you referring to ZA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if for example, in the Switch version there are less people, but then in the Switch 2 version, as part of the enhancements to the game, they'll add more, or they'll add some extra things that aren't in the original version.
I feel like come fall, we're going to have a conversation of everyone on the Switch 2, assuming you were able to get a Switch 2 and you could afford a Switch 2.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like the conversation is going to be like, everyone playing on the Switch 2 is going to have like a great time, and then the Switch people are going to be like,
well, that's Cyberpunk 2077 all over again, right? I mean, I bought Cyberpunk day it came out. I had an Xbox Series S, played totally fine. I had no issue. Well, I had a few issues, but I had no real issues with the game. And then like a week later, I'm looking at all the news, and anybody who played on like a PlayStation 4, it was like the worst launch ever. And I was like, wow, I didn't see any of this.
That's the
but,
Monster
like,
Hunter Wilds conversation right now, where
is it the same?
PS5 and Xbox players are like, this runs fine, and then PC players are like, I have an
It's a
amazing
struggle.
PC and it like doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go back to what Steph brought up. So this is a thread from Warrior 64. Says, according to a Nintendo UK support rep, Switch 2 editions of physical games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby Forgotten Land, Metroid Prime 4 will contain a download code for the upgrade pack along with the Switch 1 version of the game. So does that mean that Z-A is also Switch 1? It's just the red box contains the download code for Switch 2. Because prior to this announcement, we were talking, would they do a separate SKU if they did a Switch 2 version? And I was under the impression, no. I was under the impression that they would do the 3DS thing of Ultra Sun Ultra Moon works on the 3DS, it works on the new 3DS, it runs a little bit better on the new 3DS. Are you going to open this red case of Metroid Prime 4 or Z-A, and is it just going to be a black Switch cartridge, a Switch 1 cartridge, and not actually a red Switch 2 cartridge? Because
Yes,
that's what this...
I think.
That's what this... what I'm reading. That Metroid Prime 4 Kirby Forgotten Land contains a download code for the upgrade pack along with a Switch 1 version cart of the game.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think that because it's backwards compatible, there's not a reason for them to put more money into that, like physical stuff, especially, and then having to ship all of that. Like, I feel like there's no reason to do that. I feel like they just ship it all with the one cart that is the black Switch, the Switch 1 cart, and then they just have upgrades on that stuff, unless it's a Switch 2 exclusive.
Yeah.
I
I'm
never
not
thought
sorry.
about that.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because grandma could walk in to the store and get Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on Switch 2, but little Jason only has a Switch 1, and it sounds like it'll work. But it's almost like, why even make this Switch? I guess the Switch 2 box would be slightly more. Because it would include
is that so? Wait, is that confirmed that that's how it's gonna run? That they're gonna? I don't. That's so.
Because Kirby is going to be Kirby is DLC and it runs better, and that's a $20 upgrade.
Yeah.
So I guess if you walk into the
yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought it would be like DS to 3DS, that they're different cartridges, but the one is red, and I just thought it would be different. And then, but if you're getting the original one, now the original games will come with the download code for the upgrade. Well, yeah, I actually don't know. That's weird. I never thought about that.
Yeah. So it seems like it's still one. They're only making one cartridge. Sorry, we're going back to Pokemon. I think for Pokemon, they're only making one cartridge. It's just if you buy the Switch 2 one, you're just getting the download code on the inside. So I think, so if you walk into Target, Kirby Forgotten Land would be $60, and then the Switch 2 version would be $80, but the Switch 2 version comes with DLC and the performance upgrade. And then Breath of the Wild would be $60 on the Switch, and then $70 on the Switch 2, but the only thing you're getting is, well, you're getting performance, but you're also getting that app that they randomly showed for like 20 minutes. I'm not a Zelda expert. I can't speak on that. So I'm assuming Legend Z-A will be $60 on the Switch and then $70 on the Switch 2, unless at some point from now until release, Game Freak is going to say, also, Switch 2 version is getting 20 more Pokemon, an underground area, something more. Because out of all these games, they definitely spent the less time on Pokemon. It was like the smallest amount of time on ZA.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been a bit stingy with just information in general, and they're not showing any new megas. They're being really
That's what
secretive.
I was saying, and people
They're
were like,
being
"Steve, you're so
secretive.
negative," and I was like, "They're not giving us anything."
There's nothing to. I mean, like we had to wait a year just to get anything other than the teaser, and now you all want everything all at once in like a month.
I guess my thought is that I don't think it's bad that they're holding out, but I think the reason why people aren't overly excited, or there's a lot of reason to be skeptical, is I think they're waiting. I think they're waiting until either closer to launch or to play it yourself, because there's 0% chance there are no new megas. So I think that this is something that they're just, I don't know, maybe they just don't want it to get spoiled ahead of time. Maybe they're, feeling certain kinds of way because, there was a really huge, Game Freak leak situation a long time ago that maybe they're just not trying to give anything at all. I'm not sure, but I don't see it as like, I'm not excited. I'm like, oh, they're not showing us anything and I want more, but I'm like, okay, they're not going to give it to us.
It's possible that they were just trying to kind of work around the Switch 2 being announced as well with the Switch 2 Direct.
That's also true.
And they just wanted to kind of let that happen, and then maybe we'll start to see more now that that is out, and maybe there's things they want to show us that it's like, oh, that's clearly Switch 2 edition, and so they're like, let's let Nintendo announce that, get that out of the way, and now we'll show you some more of the game now that they've gotten their console announcement out there. But I mean, I'm okay with them not showing a ton of stuff yet. I'm good either way. I know I'm going to buy the game come the end of the year, but I think it's.
But are you getting the Switch 1 or the Switch 2 version of the game?
Well, if I'm able to get my hands on a Switch 2, then the Switch 2 version of the game. Yeah, I think that we'll see. I think we'll definitely see more. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more in the next month or two. Definitely, now that the Switch 2 has been fully announced and all of that.
I think it's wait until Worlds. I think it's August where we get anything
No,
new.
really? You think all the way until Worlds?
I think it's gonna be nothing until Worlds.
Oh, no.
I would like more before then, but my expectations are August. We're getting something.
I think we get one thing. I think we get one trailer before Worlds.
I'll be hyped.
I have always believed that Scarlet and Violet would be a top 3 Pokemon game for a lot of people if it ran smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So now on the Switch 2, I guess we don't know how smoothly it would run. I do wonder if that will change people's minds or make them okay. I know tons of people that the frame rate alone was jarring or gave them motion sickness, or the camera wasn't I get it, right? I totally understand. And I'm sure a lot of people put down that game because they fell through the floor too many times, or because their game crashed and they didn't have autosave on and they lost 5 hours of progress. I do wonder that if owners of a Switch 2, assuming you can get one this year and assuming you can afford it if you can't get one, I do wonder if that will make people go back to Scarlet and Violet, or if those people have just already written that game off and they're like, it's too old. That ship has sailed. I'm playing Gale of Darkness instead.
I feel like if you haven't played Scarlet and Violet before and you become a Switch 2 owner and then you go and play Scarlet and Violet, you'll feel one way. If you played Scarlet and Violet already, you already spent your $300, the $350 on a Switch to play it in this state. And now you have to spend another $450 or more to play it a little bit better, that you may have different feelings about whether or not those improvements might be great, but it's it should have been not as bad as it was from the start. And I feel like you already have that impression. And so it improving will be a good thing. I'd be happy for it to improve. It is one of my favorite Pokemon games. And again, if the performance was better, it would be right up there as number 1 or 2 for probably for Pokemon games for me. But it's like you already got that really bad first impression, and it'll be nice if it improves, but I don't know if it would be like enough to be like, oh yeah, this is definitely like a top game to me now because of everything that is like we've already been through with it.
If I can get a Switch 2 in June, I feel like I would just be so over the moon because I know that all the pseudo legendaries are still coming to raids for the rest of the year. I know there's going to be more mass outbreaks for the rest of the year.
I didn't even think about terror raids. Hold up. Wait a minute. Life changing. Wait a second. Oh my God. Oh, flawless terror raids? I just need a moment to like imagine what that's like. That's
the raids running smoothly.
Wait, true. Oh.
Like I just think of terror raids, I think of mass outbreaks, I think of Worlds VGC. Like, are they going to have the people on the main stage run on Switch 2s? I remember watching Yokohama Worlds, and multiple times through that broadcast, the games would just crash out, and they would be like, give us like 15 minutes, we gotta like restart the game. Or like they had that really cool Worlds only VGC background.
Oh yeah, that was so sick.
And it was just chugging.
Yeah,
like it was
the concept was sick. Correction.
Yeah, the concept
the idea of it was
conceptually very cool. But it was just chugging. So like I'm so excited that like these games I love will have like the frame rate that they should have had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is like, why couldn't we have this to begin with? Well, we know why Game Freak's not the best optimizer of video games out there.
Nostalgia's a prison. On with the new Switch.
Nostalgia is a prison. We're all upgrading. I wonder. I don't know if there's much of a conversation to be had. For me, maybe it's coming from like a privileged spot. Like for me, spending $10 to get more frames and to get like a better experience is like a no-brainer. But I know there's a whole conversation around $70 is too expensive for a game, $80 is too expensive for a game. I mean, I've put 1,500 hours into Scarlet and Violet, and you're telling me that in this case it's free. But let's just say Z-A $60 for $70. But even if they said $10 to upgrade your Scarlet and Violet, I would do it in a heartbeat because I've just put so much time into those games. Mm-hmm. But I know for some people, like, no, they don't want to give the game 10 more bucks.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when games went from $50 to $60, right? Like, I remember that initial, like, it was 50 for so long, well, at least for, like, PlayStation games, things like that. It was like, 50 was just the standard. And then it was like, first game that came out was like 60. I'm like, whoa, what is this? It was just kind of a little shock, and, kind of felt that way also just seeing a game that's like 70 now. Actually, I was going to go buy the new Assassin's Creed, or I just wanted to go look at the new Assassin's Creed to see. And it's $70, and I was like, "Wait, what? Like $70? Like I've not dealt with this before." But I agree with you. Like for the amount of time you put into the game, right? $10, you're like, yeah, I'll put another $10 to get a better, better performance, especially if you're going to be putting a lot more hours into the game. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of people out there. There's definitely a lot of people out there who haven't put as much hours into the games as you have.
Yeah.
For one. And then to your point, it's like, okay, I can spend $10 to upgrade Scarlet and Violet, or I can put that $10 toward a newer game that's out rather than playing this old game that came out 3 years ago. Right. And so I feel like a lot of people may think like, I don't want to put another $10 into this game that I've already been playing for this long. I want to move on to something else and play something. You just said this earlier. Play something new. Don't put your $10 into an old game.
There's new stuff coming to Scarlet and Violet. New stuff coming. It's some cost fallacy. I need to continue doing the Terra raids. I've done them all to this point.
Yeah, I think the option is nice to have. You know, the ideal would have been that from the beginning, you know, this one wasn't necessary. But given that that's not the timeline we're in, I think the option, if it exists, and if this is the way that we can get a world in which we can have the performance we want, I'm grateful that it exists and that we'll have a chance. And I think that I don't think that Scarlet and Violet are going to be the reason someone buys a Switch 2. I definitely don't think that that's the reason someone buys a Switch 2
There's
alone.
One
Maybe
person commenting that is the reason.
I want to see a comment for that.
Yeah, I would love to hear if anyone listening does have that perspective, because my thought is that the Switch 2 exclusive games are what's going to bring someone to get a Switch 2, and then, you know, the bonus of, oh, now I can have a higher performance version of this game that I love, or, you know, really enjoyed, or thought I was going to enjoy but then didn't. I think it's a nice bonus. But yeah, I'd be curious.
I wonder. So again, they separated out and saying Scarlet and Violet will get a specific free update.
Yeah,
I know we talked about $10 to upgrade, but the Scarlet and Violet one is free. I wonder how Legends Arceus runs. Like, if I put that in a Switch 2, does it just run better? Because the processor is better.
Better than what, Steve? It runs perfect already.
I want the caw from Bravery to sound more crisp. And again, going back to what we said earlier, I wonder if they're going to restore some of the stuff they pulled from this to Scarlet and Violet to the Switch 2 version. That's why it's like a separate update. Either way, I don't know. Just something about like a more... So on Pokemon's official website here, it says Pokemon Legends Z-A is scheduled to launch later this year. Not only will it receive a Nintendo Switch version, but a Switch 2 edition as well. By taking advantage of the upgraded hardware, you can enjoy your adventure in Lumiose with enhanced resolution and frame rate on the Switch 2. It's like all I wanted from a Pokemon game is more frames.
Yeah.
And so like I don't even need to see new megas anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like this announcement alone, I'm back on board. I was skeptical earlier, but this again, assuming I get a Switch 2, I'm just so much more on board that like ideally after June, all my Scarlet and Violet will ideally be better. If I go back to Legends Arceus, maybe that'll be a little bit better. But when ZA comes out, that will be the best version of that game. Which, great for me. And I'm still thinking of people who can't get a Switch 2. Maybe not good for them. I feel like I have to have both to really like see the difference of like what we're getting.
Yeah. I will be interesting if they do end up doing just one cart, like we were saying, where you can pop that into your Switch 2, play it with a special, like the Switch 2 edition to everything that they add, and then you can go pop that same cart back into your Switch 1 and play it like...
And be like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah. Just play it without the Switch 2 edition.
Oh, gross. But also makes sense why they would do this. They want to sell as many copies as possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it seems that they're just making one cartridge. It's just that the red box will...
I think I'm in copium about that. I want them to have a red, like I thought it was the same size, but just one's red, one's gray, but they made it the same size. I don't know. I'm in denial. I'm in the stage of grief.
Do we know
right now.
Are the cartridges exactly the same size?
Yeah, the same size.
They
said
size,
that in the direct.
They don't have like a little notch on them like the DS to the 3DS?
No, they said they're the same, but they're going to be red. So they have to make a red version, right? Oh my gosh. I mean, I hear what's being said. But yeah, I'm in denial. I think I'm going to take a couple days to process and or them show us what the box looks like.
If they did make a red version that wouldn't work in the Switch, wouldn't most people want the original version so they can do what Bobby just said, is put it in your Switch 2, but the Switch 2 will have everything because you just paid the $10?
I guess that's true. I guess it would be redundant. It would be redundant. Oh, but it's not redundant if you want if you want a physical collection of Switch 2 games and you want the Switch 2 version.
Oh, I see. You just want more things on your shelf.
Yeah.
I don't even want that. I want the ability to have the option.
The ability to pick my capitalism very
Yeah.
specifically.
Yes.
I'm thinking about, like, especially now, them like having to think about shipping 2 different versions of a physical game.
It's
And
probably not happening.
I would think, as a company that is importing those games into America, that they might want to just stick with the
Yeah,
one
that's true.
instead
That's
of
true.
making 2 different things to ship.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sure we can talk about this forever, but we've hit our 90-minute mark.
Happy New Year, everyone. We've done it.
We do have one more segment where if you are a patron, you get a bonus 20-30 minutes added on after the credits. So if you're already on the premium feed, just keep listening. If you're not on the premium feed and you would want to hear my, Bobby's, and Steph's thoughts on the Nintendo Switch Direct, just in general, we haven't talked about Mario Kart. I think we're all excited to talk about Mario Kart, so we'll talk about Mario Kart. We'll just talk about the Switch 2 in general. I'm sure Pokemon will be brought up again. Patreon.com/PKMNcast if you would like ad-free versions of the podcast and bonus episodes every week. Or not bonus episodes, longer episodes every week. But we'll do our goodbye here. But again, if you're on the premium feed, just stick around till after the credits and it'll keep playing. For those not on the premium feed, for those on the Switch 1 version of this podcast, Steph, and they cannot listen to the Switch 2 version of this podcast, where can our listeners find you?
Oh my gosh, that was the best transition I've heard in my entire life. Hello, my name is Steph. I'm Steph of Anime on all platforms. You can primarily find me on Twitch, where I stream 4 to 5 days a week. And otherwise, I'm everywhere. You can find me hanging around, especially in wherever Pokemon is. I'm usually commenting or being a part of the conversation somewhere. So thanks so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for being here. All right. We'll see you guys next week, unless you're premium, which we'll see you in about 20 seconds. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Bobby. This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
Super effective.
I wonder how many people don't qualify for that.
In
my head, I just assume that everyone has.
You don't qualify?
I don't qualify because we have a specific family thing set up, and I'm not the main person on it, and it can only be the main account holder of the plan.
Oh, so if